The clanging of hammers and metal against metal rang in my ears as I watched the magnificent structure slowly take shape before me. It was the summer of 1876 in Paris, and I was but a young lad when I first laid eyes on what would become one of the most iconic monuments in the world, the Statue of Liberty. As a worker at the Gaget, Gauthier & Co. workshop, I had the privilege of witnessing Lady Liberty's early beginnings. The statue was commissioned as a gift from the people of France to the United States, meant to commemorate the lasting friendship between the two nations. Though gifted by the French, the statue's design and construction was truly an international effort. The framework was engineered by Unviollet-le-Duc along with famed architect Auguste Bartholdi, who sculpted Liberty's mighty figure. Her appearance was modeled after Bartholdi's mother, Charlotte. The copper sheets that formed her glowing green exterior were meticulously shaped by hand. She stood over 150 feet tall from the tip of her torch to the ground. Watching hundreds of artisans come together to assemble this masterpiece was a sight to behold. After several years of design and construction, by 1880 the statue was fully complete in Paris. But transporting her across the Atlantic to America was no easy feat. Finally, in 1885, after being disassembled into 350 pieces packed into 114 crates, she made the 2-month-long journey by sea and was assembled on Bedloe's Island, later renamed Liberty Island. On October 28, 1886, Lady Liberty was officially unveiled in New York Harbor. The inauguration was marked by parades, fireworks, and a grand ceremony attended by President Grover Cleveland. For me, the proudest moment was witnessing the raising of her mighty torch. Its golden flame a welcoming beacon for ships arriving to America's shores. Though over a century has passed, seeing Lady Liberty still evokes the awe I felt as a young worker watching her rise in Paris. Her elegant sculpture and story of friendship continue lighting the way towards freedom and possibility. She remains an architectural marvel and icon representing hope for all. Though I was but a humble laborer, I felt immense pride in playing even a small role in Lady Liberty's creation. After the inauguration ceremony, I decided to immigrate to America myself to personally witness the impact of our gift. Arriving into New York Harbor, that glowing torch was the first sight to welcome me. Every time I gaze up at her, I'm reminded of those days back in Paris watching her head and arm take shape. Over the decades, Lady Liberty has continued welcoming millions seeking refuge, opportunity, and the American dream. One of my favorite memories was the day they erected the plaque with Emma Lazarus' famous words, "Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free." Such a powerful sentiment, forever linking Lady Liberty as a symbol of hope and promise. Though I've long retired from metalwork, I'll never forget watching her rise story by story in that Paris workshop. My grandson is an architect who recently helped design the new Statue of Liberty Museum. He tells me how she's a global icon of freedom, lighting the way with her glowing torch. Now at over 130 years old, Lady Liberty has undergone renovations to preserve her majesty. Though her copper has aged to that iconic green, her spirit remains timeless. I feel honored to have played even a small part in the Statue of Liberty's architectural history and legacy. Shall continue welcoming the world's huddled masses for centuries to come. Whenever I gaze across the harbor and see her standing tall and proud, I'm transported back to the sparks flying as her colossal form took shape. Though my own life's journey is nearing its end, Lady Liberty's journey continues lighting the way for generations to come. As an old man, I decided to take my family on a visit to see Lady Liberty up close. My grandson especially was eager, having grown up with her as a symbol of America. We booked ferry tickets to Liberty Island and joined the crowds making their way across the harbor. Stepping onto the island itself felt like entering hallowed ground. I walked beneath the famous plaque bearing Lazarus' words, pausing to reflect on their meaning. We slowly circled the statue's pedestal, craning our necks to take in her full majesty from below. I pointed out to my grandson the rivet marks along her robes, evidence of the meticulous work it took to assemble her. His eyes widened with awe, appreciating the scale of craftsmanship. As we continued around the pedestal, we came across a small museum displaying Liberty's original torch. Though replaced in the 1980s, its faded copper still impressed, over a century old. After admiring the statue up close, We queued up to take the climb to Lady Liberty's crown. The 354 steps left me winded, but reaching the top was worth it. Gazing out her crown's windows at the sprawling city before me, I was filled with memories. I recalled that enthusiastic young laborer, never imagining just how colossal his work would become. From Liberty's crown, the New York skyline looked so different than it did over a century ago. I pointed out how the city has grown and changed, but Lady Liberty remains its icon. As we descended the stairs down the statue, I told my grandson of the day they unveiled her in the harbor. The cheering crowds, thunderous cannon salutes, and hundreds of boats sailing in celebration. We concluded our visit at the new museum, seeing artifacts from Liberty's construction. My grandson marveled at the scale model on display, showing her immense inner framework. "To think you helped build that, long before I was born," he said. I smiled proudly, beyond words. As we rode the ferry back across the harbor, I continued sharing memories with my family. Though my own days are dwindling, seeing Lady Liberty with my grandson reminded me how her light will continue guiding generations to come. She is a testament to the heights human creativity can reach through determination and cooperation. I feel humbled and honored to have played a small role in gifting Lady Liberty to the world. For over a century she has welcomed millions, a symbol of hope and freedom the world over. Though my own story is ending, hers continues standing tall, her torch held highlighting the way. After our visit, I decided to write down my memories to share the story of Lady Liberty's construction firsthand. My grandson encouraged me, saying my perspective was a valuable window into history. Though initially hesitant, I was moved to preserve this history while I still could. I wrote of my youth in Paris, getting hired as a metalworker apprentice. The workshop where we built the statue was buzzing as artists and laborers came together. Under Bartholdi's direction, we began shaping Liberty's skeletal framework from thin iron rails and polygons. I described the sight of her head being completed, how we lifted it by crane to mount atop the scaffolding. Seeing her face gazing out for the first time, I knew this would be a work for the ages. The months that followed were filled with intense labor. I wrote of the sore muscles and tired eyes after long days shaping copper panels. The tedious work of etching rivet marks so each section locked seamlessly together. We became experts at molding, sculpting, and polishing copper. By 1884, the statue was fully complete in Paris. My fellow workers and I stood proudly gazing up at our revolutionary lady. She was a vision over 150 feet tall, clutching her tablet and lifting her soon-to-be iconic torch. Next came the difficult task of disassembling her into crates small enough for transport. We carefully labeled each crate before loading them onto ships headed for America. It was hard saying goodbye, not knowing if I'd see her again. I described my own journey to America years later as an immigrant seeking opportunity. The surge of emotion I felt arriving in New York Harbor and seeing Lady Liberty welcoming me and fellow travelers. She was a breathtaking sight, reassembled on her pedestal just as we had designed her. For my grandson, I wanted to capture these memories before they slipped away. The camaraderie of our workshop, the creative process that birthed an icon. I let the words flow, reliving each detail. Beyond the statue itself, I wrote about Liberty's enduring meaning. She represents America's promise as a land of refuge and second chances. Her Majesty inspires both human achievement and hope for the future. Though I've long faded into history, I find solace knowing this small role I played helped create something timeless. Whenever people gaze up at Lady Liberty, I hope they appreciate the ingenuity and work required to raise her torch so high for all the world to see. By putting these memories and reflections into writing, it's my way of contributing one last beam to Lady Liberty's legacy. I may have helped build her physical form decades ago, but her spirit is something that lives on long after those who birthed her are gone. The story of Lady Liberty is ongoing, as new generations find inspiration in her shadow. As the last remaining person who witnessed her rise, I feel it's my duty to help keep her message alive. With my grandson's encouragement, I'm honored to share a first-hand account of Lady Liberty's origins. May my small voice help ensure her light continues guiding the way.